Kendrick Lamar just made history as the first solo rapper to ever headline the Super Bowl halftime show. But his performance left audiences deeply divided. Some people loved it, calling it a bold and creative performance, while others thought it was too different from what usually happens at the Super Bowl. So was it a masterpiece or a missed opportunity? The Super Bowl halftime show is one of the most watched live performances in the world, and every artist who takes that stage faces immense pressure. Some performances became instant classics, while others were quickly forgotten. Kendrick Lamar didn't just aim for spectacle, he created a layered performance that demanded attention and interpretation. It dominated social media, with clips going viral and think pieces dissecting every moment. But despite all the buzz, the stadium crowd's energy felt surprisingly low, and the political messaging sparked controversy, with some dubbing his performance the worst halftime show in history. Now, you've probably already seen dozens of breakdowns on YouTube and TikTok analyzing the symbolism and deeper meaning behind Kendrick's performance. That's not what we're here to do. Instead, we're taking a step back and evaluating the performance across 10 key criteria to determine where it truly ranks among all Super Bowl halftime shows. So where does Kendrick's performance rank? Did he pull off the impossible by making a halftime show that is both artistically profound and entertaining for the masses? Let's break it down. A great Super Bowl halftime show opening is a critical element that sets the tone for the entire performance. The opening must immediately captivate the audience, establish the artistic direction, and create a striking first impression that carries through the rest of the show. Many Super Bowl halftime shows open with high-energy spectacle to establish immediate impact. Michael Jackson's 1993 performance exemplifies this approach. He stood motionless for 90 seconds while the crowd roared, then exploded into jam. This strategic use of stillness, followed by movement, maximized dramatic effect. Lady Gaga's 2017 Super Bowl opening was another masterclass in spectacle, beginning with her standing on top of the stadium singing "God Bless America" before literally jumping off the roof and landing onto the stage below. This entrance blended patriotism with theatricality, ensuring that no one watching could look away. Kendrick Lamar's opening represented a daring departure from convention, since it prioritized narrative tension over immediate spectacle. The performance began with Samuel L. Jackson, dressed as Uncle Sam, standing in the center of the stage and announcing the Great American Game. This initial focus on his presence created an unusual sense of theatricality and set the tone for a performance rooted in critique and symbolism. Kendrick Lamar was positioned off to the side of the stage, crouched alone on a 1987 GNX. His choice to begin the performance in a corner of the stage immediately conveyed themes of control and power dynamics. The minimalistic lighting with only one spotlight created a strong sense of anticipation. But just as the audience absorbed the stillness of the opening tableau, the car's doors burst open and released a flood of dancers onto the stage. The surprise element of the dancers emerging from the GNX served as a metaphor for hidden power, resistance, and the idea of unleashing a movement from within. Kendrick Lamar's opening receives a B for its unique vision, while acknowledging that it may not be particularly memorable for the casual viewer. A great Super Bowl halftime setlist must be memorable and widely appealing. With over 100 million viewers of diverse backgrounds and musical tastes, artists can't treat it like a regular concert. 3 key principles make a successful setlist: featuring the artist's biggest hits for familiarity, choosing high energy, stadium-friendly tracks that connect with the crowd, and creating smooth transitions that build energy throughout the 13-minute show. At the time of his halftime show, Bruno Mars was still early in his career, which limited the number of hits he could pull from. What made his performance stand out was how he used his band's musicianship and high energy delivery to compensate for a relatively smaller catalog. Rihanna's halftime show featured one of the strongest set lists ever, as she managed to squeeze in some of her biggest hits while maintaining a smooth flow of energy. Even without elaborate choreography, the strength of her catalog alone carried the performance. Other artists have made questionable song choices. Despite having one of the most legendary catalogs in rock history, the Rolling Stones only performed 3 songs, and they weren't even their biggest hits. While Start Me Up was a great opener, Rough Justice was an odd choice, and Satisfaction, while iconic, felt too safe as the closer. Given their deep catalog, they could have made much better choices to create a more dynamic performance. The 1998 Super Bowl paid homage to the legacy of Motown. The setlist made a respectable attempt at balancing older hits with newer material. But the problem was the lack of high-energy moments. Smooth R&B ballads, while musically strong, did not translate well to the massive high-energy atmosphere of a Super Bowl performance. Unlike later R&B-focused halftime shows, this performance lacked the showmanship needed to make an impact. Similarly, Kendrick Lamar's song selection did not align with key principles of a strong set list, and as a result, his performance did not fully resonate with the broad Super Bowl audience. Instead of curating a set list optimized for mass appeal, his choices seem to have been influenced by commercial imperatives, particularly the need to promote his latest album and his upcoming co-headlining tour with SZA. Many of his most stadium-friendly, widely recognizable songs were noticeably absent from the setlist. The first 2 songs lacked familiarity, which delayed the audience's connection to the show. When Humble finally arrived, it injected much-needed energy. The middle portion of the performance included All the Stars and Luther with SZA, 2 slower-paced songs that were beautifully performed but not ideal for a stadium setting. This section significantly slowed down the energy of the show, making it difficult to re-engage the audience. The other major turning point in the performance was Not Like Us, which became one of the most electrifying and talked about moments of the show. Given its cultural significance in Kendrick's ongoing rivalry with Drake, the song was expected to be a standout, and it delivered in full force. Ultimately, while Kendrick's performance was artistically ambitious, his setlist choices prevented it from creating a more memorable show. If ranked in Super Bowl halftime history, this setlist would likely fall into the mid-tier, somewhere in the C range. The staging of a Super Bowl halftime show must be visually striking for both stadium and TV audiences, enhance the artist's theme without distraction, and push technical boundaries to create a unique spectacle. While some shows have achieved this through immersive, breathtaking visuals, others have fallen short with gimmicky or underwhelming designs. Some of the best Super Bowl halftime stages in history have masterfully blended spectacle, innovation, and thematic depth. Lady Gaga's 2017 show left a lasting impression with its ambitious use of vertical space, thanks to cables and giant metal towers. Beyoncé's 2013 performance used LED screens that created stunning visuals and shifted at key moments in the show to reinforce her larger-than-life stage presence. The 2022 hip-hop show also made great use of set design. By creating a neighborhood block party aesthetic that felt both laid-back and grand, it offered a nostalgic atmosphere for rap music's biggest stars. The Black Eyed Peas 2011 halftime show is often criticized for its overuse of LED lighting, which made the stage feel small and cluttered. Similarly, Maroon 5's 2019 stage design, which took the form of an uninspired M, failed to make an impact as it felt more like a placeholder than an iconic Super Bowl set. 2 of the most unconventional halftime show stagings in recent years belong to The Weeknd in 2021 and Rihanna in 2023. The Weeknd's performance, which was significantly impacted by COVID-19 restrictions, was staged mainly in one of the stadium's concourses, which gave the show an unusually detached feel. But it also allowed for a highly choreographed cinematic experience, with innovative set pieces, such as a mirrored hallway sequence and a wall for a live choir. Rihanna's 2023 halftime show also took an unconventional approach, placing her and her dancers on floating platforms that ascended and descended throughout the performance. Visually, this was an incredibly striking choice, creating a sense of grandeur and scale. But it also restricted movement and made the performance feel more static than other high-energy shows. Kendrick Lamar took a concept-driven approach to staging and offered one of the most intellectually ambitious set designs in Super Bowl history. The most striking aspect of the staging was its video game-inspired layout, featuring 4 separate performance spaces shaped like PlayStation controller buttons. This was a bold thematic choice, reinforcing the overarching narrative of the American dream as a rigged game and playing into the show's central commentary on power and control. The multiple platforms allowed for greater movement and created a sense of progression that mirrored the levels of a video game. Another standout feature of Kendrick's performance was its intentional decentering of the main performer. Unlike most halftime shows, which place the headliner at the absolute center of the stage from the opening moment, Kendrick was initially positioned off to the side, while Samuel L. Jackson, dressed as Uncle Sam, stood at the center. This bold choice reinforced the theme of manipulation and systemic control, visually representing Kendrick as a player within a larger framework rather than the focal point of the performance. However, despite its ambitious themes and symbolism, Kendrick's staging lacked the sheer grandeur of past halftime spectacles and felt more compact. While the multiple levels of performance space added movement and fluidity, there was no singular jaw-dropping set piece that left the audience in awe. There was no stadium-wide iconic moment like Prince's silhouette, Lady Gaga's rooftop dive, or Katy Perry's giant animatronic lion. While it lacked the massive stadium-spanning spectacle of the most visually iconic halftime shows, it succeeded in creating an innovative and conceptually rich performance space. Given its boldness, creativity, and thematic execution, but also its limitations in terms of mainstream visual appeal, the staging earns a B rating, strong and innovative, but not quite legendary. A great Super Bowl halftime show costume design is about more than just looking stylish. It must balance spectacle, functionality, and thematic depth. The ideal Super Bowl outfit is instantly iconic, visually striking from a distance, and deeply connected to the performer's brand and the show's overarching theme. The best halftime show costumes serve a dual purpose. They enhance the performer's movement while also adding to the visual storytelling, making every moment on stage feel larger than life. Diana Ross's 1996 halftime show featured stunning costume changes, with each outfit transition adding to the grandeur of her performance. The most memorable moment came when she donned a flowing golden cape that billowed dramatically, almost becoming an extension of the stage itself. Wardrobe choices can also be used to convey deeper meaning. Bono's 2002 halftime show outfit included an American flag sewn into the lining of his jacket, which he revealed at the climax of U2's tribute to the victims of 9/11. Theatricality and bold costume changes have become staples for pop divas. Katy Perry's 2015 halftime show featured multiple costume changes, each tailored to a specific part of her set, from a fiery ensemble for Roar to a beach-themed outfit for California Girls. Lady Gaga and Jennifer Lopez also used quick outfit transitions to create dynamic shifts in their performances, ensuring that their visuals stayed fresh throughout the show. While female performers have largely dominated in this area, some male performers have also made strong fashion statements. Bruno Mars's 2014 halftime show saw him wear a custom gold jacket inspired by classic entertainers like James Brown. This retro-inspired look helped establish him as a modern showman in the tradition of those legendary artists. The Weeknd's also stands out with his red sequined jacket and black gloves, which aligned with his aesthetic from After Hours. For his performance, Kendrick Lamar wore a cobalt blue Martine Rose varsity jacket with black and white paneling. The jacket featured the word Gloria across the chest, a direct reference to the song featured on his latest album. Additional details such as patches reading G National nodded to the Buick Grand National, which played a central role in his album's concept and was physically incorporated into the show's staging. The A pendant he wore carried multiple layers of meaning. It represented the logo of PG Lang, Lamar's multimedia communications company, signaling his artistic independence and brand identity. But many fans connected the pendant to the lyric "Trying to Strike a Chord," and It's Probably a Minor from Not Like Us, one of the most impactful tracks of the performance. Beyond Kendrick's personal wardrobe, the costume design for his supporting cast and dancers played a crucial role in reinforcing the performance's visual storytelling. His dancers were dressed in monochromatic red, white, and blue, which reflected the American themes embedded within the show. Kendrick's outfit was more fashion-forward than many previous hip-hop halftime performances, elevating streetwear into a high-fashion statement. His costume choices were deeply personal and symbolic and added layers of meaning beyond simple aesthetics. But the outfit leaned more toward subtlety than extravagance, which may have made it less memorable in the eyes of viewers expecting a more theatrical look. If ranked, it would likely land in the B tier, strong and well executed, but not an all-time standout in Super Bowl halftime fashion history. A great halftime show choreography is about creating visually captivating, high-energy, and seamlessly integrated movement that enhances the spectacle. The best performances strike a balance between technical precision, emotional expression, and crowd engagement, ensuring that both the stadium audience and millions of viewers at home remain fully immersed in the show. A well-executed choreographed performance should amplify the energy of the music. Incorporate dynamic movement that makes full use of the massive stage and create visually striking formations that linger in the audience's memory. Some of the most iconic uses of choreography in Super Bowl history have demonstrated these principles flawlessly. Michael Jackson's 1993 performance remains a defining moment for halftime show choreography. Instead of flooding the stage with an excessive number of dancers, his approach emphasized his own virtuosity and precise movement. Beyoncé's performances set a similar standard for halftime show choreography. Her 2013 show was a masterclass in synchronization and precision, with intricate routines performed at a very high level of execution. Shakira and Jennifer Lopez's 2020 halftime show took an approach that highlighted and contrasted their individual dance styles. Shakira's belly dancing and Latin dance moves, and J-Lo's pole dance routine and hip-hop choreography created a performance that was both diverse in style and high in energy. On the other end of the spectrum, some halftime shows have suffered from either underwhelming or chaotic choreography. The 1995 Indiana Jones-themed halftime show is a perfect example of a performance that lacked coherence in its movement. Instead of a structured dance performance, it featured fight scenes and stunt work that felt more like a theme park attraction than a Super Bowl spectacle. The choreography was all over the place, with too many groups doing different things simultaneously, making it difficult for the audience to focus on any one part of the performance. Similarly, the 2000 halftime show, which leaned into a Broadway-style production, used choreography as a background element rather than an integrated part of the show, making it feel like an afterthought rather than a central element of the performance. Some performances failed due to stiff, awkward movement that felt amateurish rather than polished. The Blues Brothers' 1997 performance was one of the worst offenders, with dancing that lacked any real structure, making it feel like a low-budget stage show rather than a major televised event. Kendrick Lamar took a groundbreaking approach to choreography by prioritizing narrative-driven movement over high-energy dance sequences. One of the biggest strengths of Kendrick's choreography was its complexity and symbolism. The dancers' movements were deliberate and highly intentional, often serving as visual metaphors for themes of racial and political division. The standout visual moment of the performance was when the dancers formed an American flag with a split down the middle, a striking representation of the fractures in American society. Other symbolic elements included choreography inspired by Compton gang members, HBCU step teams, Jordan Peele's Us Doppelgangers, and movement evoking an army of soldiers and protesters marching. These elements added layers of storytelling through movement, making the choreography an integral part of the performance's overarching message. The transitions between songs were fluid and visually cohesive, allowing the choreography to act as a unifying thread that connected the different segments of the stage. Kendrick Lamar's halftime show choreography was artistically ambitious and visually compelling. It didn't rely on traditional high-energy dance sequences, but instead leveraged movement as a storytelling tool, which set it apart from most Super Bowl halftime performances. The sheer scale, precision, and thematic depth of the choreography were undeniable, making this one of the most well-executed and meaningful uses of movement in Super Bowl history. Given its scale, innovation, and execution, Kendrick Lamar's choreography deserves an A. A great vocal performance at the Super Bowl halftime show is about more than just hitting the right notes. It's about delivering raw energy, vocal clarity, and emotional impact on one of the world's biggest stages. Some of the best vocal performances in Super Bowl history have set a high bar, Lady Gaga's 2017 show remains one of the most impressive, as she combined powerful live vocals with intricate choreography, proving that an artist can deliver a full-throttle pop spectacle without sacrificing vocal integrity. Beyoncé's 2013 performance was another standout, as she flawlessly belted her biggest hits while delivering complex choreography, showing near-flawless breath control and vocal stamina. But not every artist has been able to meet the high vocal demands of the Super Bowl stage. The Black Eyed Peas' 2011 halftime show was particularly notorious for poor vocal execution, with Fergie's out-of-tune performance standing out as one of the most painful vocal moments in Super Bowl history. Another infamous moment occurred in 1995 when Patti LaBelle's lip-syncing was noticeably out of sync with the music, creating an awkward disconnect that distracted from the performance. Over the years, the use of pre-recorded vocals and backing tracks has evolved, becoming increasingly common due to the logistical difficulties of singing live in a massive stadium. Even some of the greatest Super Bowl performers have relied on lip-syncing, including Michael Jackson in 1993 and Janet Jackson in 2004. The reasoning varies. Sometimes it's to ensure consistent audio quality, and other times it's because the choreography is too intense for pure live singing. Jennifer Lopez and Shakira in 2020, for instance, delivered spectacular performances that relied partially on pre-recorded vocals, allowing them to maintain high-energy dance routines without compromising the overall sound. Usher in 2024 followed a similar pattern, delivering impressive dance sequences while also singing live, though there were moments where he struggled vocally due to the intensity of his movement. Kendrick Lamar's vocal performance at the 2025 Super Bowl was particularly noteworthy because he was the first rapper to ever headline the halftime show as a solo act. Unlike past rap performances that were either part of an ensemble or integrated into pop and R&B-based lineups, Kendrick carried the full weight of the performance on his own. Given that rap is a genre built around rhythm, flow, and lyrical clarity rather than traditional melodic singing, this presented unique vocal challenges that no previous headliner had faced. The Super Bowl demands a level of vocal projection and engagement that is particularly difficult for rappers who typically perform with breath-heavy deliveries and dense lyricism. That Kendrick managed to pull it off while maintaining his signature intensity is a remarkable achievement. SZA's vocals, on the other hand, sparked some debate about authenticity. During her performance of All the Stars, some viewers noticed subtle signs of lip-syncing. While this isn't uncommon for pop performances, it raises questions about how much of her performance was truly live. In terms of how Kendrick and SZA's vocals compare to past Super Bowl performances, they stood out as one of the stronger rap and R&B pairings in recent memory. The fact that Kendrick, as the first solo rap headliner, managed to deliver a powerful, technically sound vocal performance under immense pressure is especially praiseworthy. Their performance deserves an A, a historic achievement for hip-hop, and a very good execution overall. Guest appearances at the Super Bowl halftime show have historically ranged from seamless and unforgettable to jarring and chaotic. The best ones enhance the performance, elevating the main artist while adding an extra layer of excitement. The worst ones, however, can feel unnecessary, disjointed, or completely overshadow the headliner. Over time, the role of guest artists has evolved from being an assortment of loosely connected stars to a more carefully curated selection that serves the headliner's vision. Some of the most disastrous examples of guest appearances stem from a lack of cohesion or an over-reliance on celebrity cameos for their own sake. The 2001 halftime show featuring Aerosmith and NSYNC is widely considered one of the most chaotic in Super Bowl history. The performance was already an unusual combination of rock and boy band energy, but the last-minute additions of Britney Spears, Mary J. Blige, and Nelly turned the show into a cluttered spectacle. Similarly, Madonna's 2012 halftime show struggled with guest integration. While the initial concept was very strong, featuring larger-than-life visuals and theatrical grandeur, the choice of guest artists felt like a mix of trends rather than timeless artistic choices. On the other hand, some performances have successfully incorporated guests in a way that elevates the show rather than detracting from it. Katy Perry's 2015 halftime show is an excellent example of how to blend different artists into one cohesive performance. Lenny Kravitz added rock edge to I Kissed a Girl, while Missy Elliott's throwback hits provided a much-needed shift in dynamic. Kendrick Lamar took a deliberate approach to guest appearances, ensuring that each one served a distinct purpose. One of the most unexpected choices was Samuel L. Jackson, who played a satirical version of Uncle Sam. While this decision was conceptually strong, it was also somewhat risky. Super Bowl audiences tend to expect musical collaborations rather than spoken-word interludes. Some casual viewers may have been confused by his role, but for those who understood Kendrick's artistic intent, it was a bold and thought-provoking addition. SZA's appearance was more traditional and offered a melodic contrast to Kendrick's high-energy performance. As a longtime collaborator, her inclusion felt natural, especially during their duet on Luther and All the Stars. One of the show's most viral moments came from Serena Williams, whose presence was completely unexpected. As one of the greatest athletes of all time, her connection to Kendrick Lamar, particularly their shared ties to Compton, gave her appearance deeper cultural resonance. While Serena's appearance was a fun and visually striking moment, it was ultimately more of a pop culture cameo than a musical contribution. Finally, DJ Mustard joined Kendrick for the final portion of the set, providing a musical bridge into the closing moments of the show. As a producer known for his work in West Coast hip-hop, his presence made sense within the context of the performance. But while his inclusion added credibility to the show's musical identity, it didn't necessarily create a standout moment. Kendrick Lamar's approach to guest appearances was one of the more cohesive and well-integrated strategies in recent history. He avoided the pitfalls of cluttered and chaotic lineups, while also ensuring that he remained the focal point of the performance. Because of its cohesion and intentionality, but with slightly less mainstream spectacle, Kendrick's guest lineup deserves a beat. A great Super Bowl halftime show thrives on strong crowd interaction, transforming the massive stadium into an electrified, participatory event. The best performances make the audience feel like an integral part of the experience, both for those in attendance and the millions watching from home. When a halftime show truly connects, the stadium erupts with energy, the crowd sings along, and every reaction enhances the performance's intensity. Some of the most memorable Super Bowl performances have mastered this aspect of audience engagement. U2's 2002 halftime show, performed just months after the 9/11 attacks, demonstrated a deeply moving form of crowd interaction by opening from within the audience, making it feel more intimate and connected despite the stadium's massive scale. Bruce Springsteen's 2009 show was another example of a high-energy performance that thrived on audience participation. Unlike many artists who rely on backup dancers or large production elements to drive engagement, Springsteen relied on sheer charisma and movement, running across the stage, interacting with the crowd, and delivering the kind of full-throttle rock performance that felt like a stadium concert rather than a halftime show. Kendrick Lamar's halftime show sparked debate regarding its crowd interaction. While the performance shattered viewership records and dominated online conversations, the live stadium reaction was more mixed. Certain moments did generate strong responses.
Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
However, there were significant weaknesses in Kendrick's approach to crowd interaction. Kai Cenat, a popular Twitch streamer who attended the event, noted that the stadium audience was surprisingly quiet for much of the performance.
Crowd was making no noise.
Kendrick's performance featured no traditional crowd interaction elements. There were no fans on the field, no call and response moments, and no structured sing-alongs designed to get the audience involved. The performance seemed designed more for a television broadcast than for an interactive stadium experience, which made it feel somewhat detached from the physical crowd. The artistic complexity of the show may have been better appreciated by dedicated Kendrick fans than by the average Super Bowl viewer. If judged purely on in-stadium crowd reaction, it would likely be placed in the D tier. The Super Bowl halftime show has traditionally been a spectacle of pure entertainment designed to appeal to the broadest possible audience and reinforce a sense of national pride and unity. While its primary function has historically been a celebration rather than a protest, artists have occasionally used the stage to make political and social statements, sometimes subtly and sometimes overtly. Some of the most successful, socially conscious halftime performances have found a way to blend message and entertainment seamlessly. Michael Jackson's 1993 halftime show was one of the earliest examples of an artist using the Super Bowl stage for a message of peace and unity. Following the 1992 Los Angeles riots, his show aimed to inspire hope, particularly with his closing performance of Heal the World, which featured a massive choir of children. More overt political messaging has been met with mixed reactions. Beyoncé's 2016 performance of Formation made direct references to the Black Panther Party and police brutality, with dancers wearing berets and forming an X in tribute to Malcolm X. The performance sparked intense debate, with some viewers praising its cultural significance, while others, particularly in conservative media, criticized it as an attack on law enforcement. Similarly, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez's 2020 halftime show included a subtle but pointed statement on immigration, as children were shown in cage-like structures, referencing the Trump administration's family separation policy at the US-Mexico border. The moment was brief but powerful, allowing the show to make a statement without overshadowing its celebration of Latin culture. One of the most talked about political statements in Super Bowl history came in 2022 during the hip-hop tribute halftime show led by Dr. Dre. While the performance as a whole was not overly political, Eminem kneeling during his performance of Lose Yourself was widely interpreted as a gesture of solidarity with Colin Kaepernick's protest against police brutality. The moment received both praise and backlash, showing how even a small act of political expression can generate massive discussion. Kendrick Lamar's took political and social messaging to an unprecedented level and was probably the most thematically layered Super Bowl performance of all time. Unlike previous halftime shows that included one-off symbolic moments or a single politically charged song, his entire performance was structured as a critique of race, power, and the American dream. But despite its depth, the show faced criticism for being too complex for a mainstream audience. Unlike Beyoncé's 2016 performance, which had clear and immediate imagery, Kendrick Lamar's halftime show required interpretation and analysis, something many casual viewers were not willing to engage with. While dedicated fans and cultural critics praised its artistic brilliance, others were left confused or uninterested. The political nature of the performance also made it inherently divisive. Many conservative commentators blasted the show, calling it the most anti-American Super Bowl performance ever. The controversy escalated further when a protester waving a Palestinian flag attempted to rush the stage, creating an unexpected political moment that wasn't part of the show's intended messaging. While it was widely praised for its intelligence, depth, and visual execution, the show's messaging was slightly too intellectual and polarizing for the average Super Bowl viewer. In terms of ranking, it would likely be placed in the B tier. A strong Super Bowl halftime show finale is crucial in leaving a lasting impression on both the stadium audience and the millions watching at home. The best finales tie together the themes of the performance while delivering an emotional or energetic peak. A well-executed conclusion can elevate an already great performance into legendary status, while a weak or anticlimactic ending can leave audiences feeling underwhelmed or disconnected. Some of the greatest Super Bowl finales in history have set the gold standard for how to end a performance on an unforgettable note. Diana Ross's 1996 halftime show remains one of the most iconic, spectacle-driven finales ever, with a legendary exit in a helicopter. Prince's 2007 finale, which closed with a soaring rendition of Purple Rain as actual rain poured over the stadium, was also a masterful way to end a show. These examples showcase how a strong Super Bowl finale can blend showmanship, symbolism, and theatricality to create a closing moment that sticks with audiences long after the game ends. Kendrick Lamar's choice to end his halftime show with TV off was a bold departure from the expected high-energy closing anthem. Unlike past finales that relied on sing-along hits or unifying moments, his decision to close with a song that critiques media consumption and societal control made a direct statement to the audience. This was not a finale designed for mass appeal. It was meant to leave viewers with a sense of unease and introspection. Miming turning off a remote to shut down the broadcast served as a powerful metaphor, reinforcing his show's anti-establishment and anti-media themes. By refusing to provide a traditional celebratory ending, Kendrick Lamar challenged the very nature of the Super Bowl halftime show, forcing the audience to consider the deeper implications of his performance. For artistic impact, it belongs in the A tier, but for its ability to engage the broader Super Bowl audience, it falls more in the B tier, making it a strong but polarizing conclusion to an already groundbreaking performance. Kendrick Lamar's 2025 Super Bowl halftime show was a bold and ambitious performance that prioritized artistic depth over traditional spectacle. While it succeeded in delivering powerful symbolism and thought-provoking visuals, its lack of mainstream accessibility and crowd engagement made it more divisive than universally celebrated. It was a halftime show designed to be analyzed rather than immediately embraced, sparking conversation, but not delivering the electrifying energy expected at the Super Bowl. Final verdict, B tier.